When someone says anyone can sell, is that true? Are we being realistic that anyone can sell?
What is the need of the client? Is this an investor? Is this an end user? Is this a diaspora client? Kenya right now offers the highest ROI compared to Dubai, compared to Georgia in Europe, compared to Portugal. Keep learning. Build your capacity each and every day, because we live in a dynamic world. A lot of things keep changing. Government policies keep changing. You cannot build partnership if you do not have experience. A real estate playbook. This is a child of digital world that actually we are helping to reach out, educate, inform. Yeah, I think if there's something we can't run away from as a country is technology.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to yet another episode 4 for that matter, of our Real Estate Playbook podcast, courtesy of Wonder Properties Kenya. So we really appreciate you for taking the time of being here today. And this means if you've not subscribed or you've not been liking our videos, please go ahead and just hit the subscribe button below, because you'll be getting notification when we upload a new episode. So it is episode 4. We are really grateful to Wonder Properties Kenya who are sponsoring this particular podcast. And Wonder Properties is a real estate developer in Kenya, a premier real estate developer for that matter. And they have been behind quite a number of projects, some which are completed, some which are ongoing, and there are those which are also off-plan projects. So let me quickly touch on them so that you get a clear picture of what we are doing as Wonder Properties Kenya. Now, Ndemi Gardens, Alina Ridge, Alina Valley, and Alina Harbour, these are projects which are completed already and tenants are occupying. So this means you could have been a potential buyer, but really don't worry. We also have ongoing projects like the Diplomat, which is a 1 and 2 bedroom apartments located in Westlands, going from as low as 5 million shillings, and also Gaia Brookside, which is a 3, 4, 5 bedroom apartments as well in Westlands, Brookside Gardens. And so these are 2 projects which are ongoing. If you've also checked our videos, you'll see the progress report as of April 2026, where we have reached the floors as well as the casting that is ongoing in some of the floors, and the off-plan projects as well, which I think is a game changer as well for investors like Executive, like Embassy Suites. So these are projects which are in the pipeline, and so we've been behind all of this. So this gives you a picture of who we are, and we are also at the center of modern and premium finishing of these products. Now, you must be wondering, why are we doing this podcast? We believe it is important that as a company that we're also behind knowledge and market awareness of what is happening, especially within the real estate market in Kenya, because our projects, are in Kenya, and so we've got foreign as well as local investors and buyers. But it is important that you also have a playbook or somebody that you can go to, and they'll be able to answer your questions in depth, so that you don't have any pending questions or you didn't understand anything. And so that is why we are doing this sort of podcast. And this means also, if you go through our videos, you'll be able to see some of the things that we have done. Now, today is an interesting episode, and we want to speak about the people who actually drive sales within the real estate market. All right. Now, it's one thing to just call yourself a salesperson or a sales executive, but really, are you living up to the meaning of that particular term? And especially when it comes to, if you look at your portfolio and some of the biggest deals that you've closed, what are some of the key essential things that you did within that particular process? So that is what we are here to talk about today on this particular set. So I'm not alone. I'm joined by Anthony Alando, who's a top manager right here at Wonder Properties Kenya. Karibu sana, Alando. Good to have you.
Thank you so much. And it's lovely, and it's good to be here at the, how do we call the podcast?
The Real Estate Playbook podcast.
The Playbook.
Yes.
Yeah, just like I've been introduced, I'm Anthony Alando, one of the top managers here at Wonder Properties. And we are here to touch base, share, and get into the depth on how real estate runs in Kenya and the people behind the real estate, what they do, what people need to know and how to progress with the conversation. Thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be in this podcast today.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Orlando, before we can get into the nitty-gritties of sales and what salespeople do, the real estate market in Kenya cannot be overlooked. It's such a big factor and a contributor to the economy, to the GDP. I mean, will you talk about, infrastructure without really not talking about real estate? So from where you sit, from your point of view, how are we doing so far as a country? Have you seen growth? Are you noting some improvements? What would be your overview?
I think Kenyan real estate is impactful, and the impact has evolved over time. So this evolution, we can trace it back to the year 2000 to 2005,
Yeah.
when there was the need of housing in Nairobi. And we have some factors that has contributed to this. One factor that has contributed to this are the government policies. The policies where we find from the year 2000 to 2006, the Kenyan government have tried to invest heavily on infrastructure. And the infrastructure has actually opened up the remote areas in Nairobi and in the country. Secondly, we have the per capita growth.
Yeah.
Because we find in the year 2000 to 2006, Kenyan per capita growth from $890 to around 1,100 US dollars. So that meant putting more money into people's pocket, and they are able to invest. Another factor is the access to loan. Previously in the Kenyan economy, access to loan was challenging.
Yeah.
So the government also came up with these policies that made people to can easily access the loans. So when they can access the loan from financial institutions, it became much more easier because now they are investing this money into the real estate. And another factor is the ROI. The ROI by then, in around the year 2000, was like 4%.
Yeah.
Right now, we are talking about 13% because Kenya right now offers the highest ROI compared to Dubai, compared to Georgia in Europe, compared to Portugal. And for the Kenyan growth is actually looked at for the long-term investment in real estate. Most people actually prefer investing in Kenya. And the last factor is the foreign investment, which we cannot overlook. Because from where I sit, we have investors all over the world who are coming to invest in the Kenyan real estate. That is from Europe, from Australia, from North America, and in Africa in general, they're actually coming to invest here. So for a fact, the Kenyan real estate has grown, and that actually is helping the Kenya to grow its economy, because now it's actually competing the agriculture, which has been one of our conventional growth in our economy.
And do you believe this information that you're sharing has really sunk in with the Kenyan people for them to understand that the opportunities are big and this is an industry, if you get in, you're going to reap massively? Or are we still in an era where we think, that's for the rich people, let the rich people handle it? Has that information really sunk in with the Kenyan people?
It has really sunk in, because one thing we have to look at here is where I sit at, we are having off plans. And the people who are investing in off plans, these are Kenyans who actually knows they are going to reap the benefit. The ROI is high. You are going to get high interest, because the interest here comes in two perspectives. We have the interest, the value of the property, and also we have the rental income. So Kenya, there's a certain generation that we are having in Kenya who actually believes in investment, and they are investing large. If I can take the demographic, we are having young people between the ages of 25 to 35. They are really investing in our real estate. And one of the main reasons why they are investing in real estate is, for one, Wonder Properties, we actually have prime areas where we have the investment. For example, if you talk about the Diploma, that is 5 minutes walk to Westgate and 10 minutes walk to Sarit Center. So they actually believe, like, if they have rentals, then they rent them out, or just like Airbnb, they are actually getting returns. So it's actually the progressive approach where the Kenyan population are also moving away from the traditional investments. Now they are actually approach, or maybe the uptake on the real estate is pretty much high.
And it's interesting that you've talked about the traditional methods to which people would have invested in real estate, and that's interesting. I say because there was a research that was done that from between June and September last year, more people were opting for modern residential apartments compared to the traditional, standalone houses. But we cannot also talk about real estate without really talking about the people that are pushing and driving for the sales. And these are the people we say sales executives, sales people, sales persons. And so their role is quite critical. How would you compare how they pitch themselves now to previous, as you've talked about the year 2000s, where the industry has been growing? So what are some of the improvements that a salesperson needs to, has no option but needs to do right now in the year 2026?
Yeah, so we have different stakeholders. Let me call them. We have in-house stakeholders and we have external stakeholders.
Yes.
For internal stakeholders, we are actually having the sales executive who are playing a critical role. And the critical role these guys are playing is very much important because they are actually the frontline staff. And the frontline staff will actually have to be up to date. For example, technological, they have to be tech savvy because it's not a traditional way where we have to look at, the real estate's in a newspaper or we wait for the news for those commercials on TV. It's no longer that. So what actually happened is right now they have to be tech savvy. Apart from being tech savvy, one thing also plays a critical role. They advise the top management on where to have the property. Wow. Because the kind of the target client we are having, we cannot have it around maybe 3 kilometers out of the CBD or maybe the prime location. So we are looking at the prime location, which is actually pretty much important. Another thing that plays a critical role is the top management have to decide when the groundbreaking and by the time the construction is going on, we must have a show house because someone will want to see their house I'm buying, because most of them are buying off plan. How will it look like? And if there are some challenges or something they don't like, there are those people who are clients that are really detailed. So they have to understand how the show house, or maybe we must have a show house. And then another thing is, how do you package yourself? Because now we have social media, and social media also pushes this. The content you put out there all these are critical. A part of it all, what we must have, or what actually is happening, is we must be able to have attention to detail when we are having construction, because the client wants something, what they order versus what is delivered.
It has to be the same.
Yeah, that is very much important,
Yes.
And those are some of the critical areas that we are looking at. And lastly, we also have to look at networking with the agents, because as much as we have the sales in-house, they will not able to reach the wider market.
Yeah.
For them to reach the wider market, what has to happen is they have to network with the agents locally and internationally. Yeah.
So from what you've explained, Anthony, it seems like a salesperson plays such a critical role, not just in terms of engaging clients, but also in terms of as well advising and sort of like a consultancy role as well. So when someone says anyone can sell, is that true? Are we being realistic that anyone can sell?
Anyone can sell, but it depends in what are they selling.
Can they sell houses? Can they sell real estate?
What happens is, before someone buys from you, they buy trust. They must trust you, because you are not only selling, you are educating, you are advising. No. So when all these aspects comes in, and you must be someone who is talkative, someone who is likable, because the kind of houses we sell, they go for like 50 million.
Yeah.
Some even goes for like 80 million, and above. So you find 80 million Kenyan shillings. That's a lot of money. So we must build trust. Can they just trust? Are you someone who is trustworthy? So I will not say anyone can sell or anyone cannot sell. But what we have to do, we have to build the capacity of this individual so that actually when they go out to talk to our client, they are able to represent as well. They are actually able to give concrete information that is depth, profound, so that when an individual or a client is making a decision, they are making a decision that worth the kind of money they are ready to spend.
Yeah, and we'll come to the capacity building, but also let's talk about skills, mindset, as well as networking. Is selling, especially within the real estate, is it a skill issue? Do you also need a combination of a mindset? Do you need a combination of as well as networking? So what could be the main focus for any salesperson?
One thing is you have to believe in yourself. That is one. Then secondly, what you have to look at it, you have to be knowledgeable, because you have to be knowledgeable of the product you are selling.
Yeah.
It's so critical. Another aspect that you have to look at there is you must be self-motivated. The reason why I'm saying you must be self-motivated is you can be nagged out once, twice, thrice, but you have that impetus to keep you going and also still sell. Another aspect that you need to have, you must be able to network. Are you able to network with the different institutions? And what I mean, financial institution, we are talking about community based, I usually call them community based savings, like circles and all that, So it encompasses a lot. It's not just like I have a degree in sales and marketing, then I'll be able to go out there and sell.
Yeah.
I think that's not easy. It's not. It won't work. So it's actually a combination of different component for you to be successful, or for the sales executive to be successful.
We'll get back to the capacity building in just a bit. But for, with real estate, it may require some sort of experience, know. People may feel that once you want to sell me a house, you at least need the experience so that when I can engage you in terms of can I get a return on investment, on what I'm buying, how is the market looking like, you're able to really tell me and give me facts or information about what is happening within the market. When you look at a salesperson within the real estate industry, is experience critical? Is it key?
Experience plays a critical role. I think those are some of the core experience that a salesperson must have. Because for one, they must be able to understand the market. When I talk about the market here, I talk about the kind of client they are selling to. Are you selling to the end user? Are you selling to an investor? And because if you are selling to an investor, you are selling to an end user, you are selling to a diaspora client, and also you are selling to a mortgage client, the facts you are going to give are pretty much totally different. They are not the same. Another thing also you have to know and you have to understand is relationship building and network building, which is significant. In real estate, what do I talk here? Do you have a strong agent? When I talk about a strong agent here is an agent that already has a name in the market that you are able to work with, and the agent that also is trusted within the market. Another aspect you have to understand is very much important is when you're going for activation, because that's also another fact. You cannot just go to any activation. For example, you can't go to... It has to be
targeted.
It has to be targeted. Yes. You can't just go to downtown Nairobi and then say, hey, we are selling houses here in Kilimani. People will be looking at you like, okay, what are you doing? Yeah. So you must do your research very well and actually know how can it work. Another thing you have to leverage on is referrals, because it's easier to maintain one client and that client is actually going to refer another client. So that way it's pretty much easier. And return client. So you actually find referrals very much important. You must build partnership. You cannot build partnership if you do not have experience. So having partnership with different institutions, different individuals, that also plays a critical role, because that way there are those companies that are offering a product that you do not have, and they also need what you have. For example, if you have mortgage client, you must partner with the banks. The bank has to know you, because if you're not credible enough, there's no bank that actually will come and offer you or maybe give you a client. The bank will come to the property and they do their assessment. If one of your property collapsed last year and you want them to trust you with money, you find that one will not work at all. It won't work. Yeah. And then we also have having different events that actually are going on in different areas. You must be able to target. The moment you've done all that analysis, you've done the assessment, and you know your target client, then a sales individual will pretty much have a better way of reaching out to a wider audience, a wider client, and that will drive sales.
Yeah, and not to sound ignorant, but in every sort of space, job space, industry, there are those who are experienced, and they are now the newcomers or the freshers. And so for them, coming in, they have got the interest, they know they've got the skill sets, they can actually sell, they've got the knowledge. Now they want to be sales executives within the real estate industry. So how should they prepare to come into such an industry that is very, very saturated? There's quite high competition, because they won't be the only ones selling. There are other people selling. So what should they prepare themselves with? How should they arm themselves?
Building capacity and recruitment, I think that is one of the most important things as management we always have to do, because as much as we recruit, we also have to retain. How do we retain? How do we build the capacity of the individual that we are hiring? Because it's another thing to hire, but building the capacity plays a significant role. So the moment we hire, we take our employees or the sales individual through what is called induction. So the moment we do induction, then also we walk them through our policies, the organizational policy which actually we draft. So when they go through the policies and we have the ethical aspects within the real estate environment, which is critical. Another aspect we have to look at here is conveyancing. They must be able to understand the conveyancing law that we have, because it can't work without working with the lawyers or working with the lawyers closely. Another aspect of having the new employees who are actually joining us here is, do we train them? Do they have the capacity to actually drive sales? That is very critical, because any industry cannot progress without selling.
Yes.
You must be able to sell something in order for the company to stay afloat. So these are some of the aspects that we put into consideration to make sure the individual that we have, they are all rounded. And because of that all-rounded, that's why we introduce as a company, we have a policy on capacity building. Capacity building here, we are looking at what are some of the areas that weaker link, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. So the moment we've done all this evaluation, and then now we have to come up, narrow it down, and turn all this into capacity building. And that's why at Wonder Properties, we introduced weekly training for 1 hour weekly training. So that way, our sales executives are actually able to start their week with the knowledge, and the kind of areas we are training them on majorly. We are actually having conveyancing has a law in Kenya. We are actually training them in the modern way of marketing or doing digital marketing, which actually is a big thing now. Through social media, we actually have looked at that. Another aspect they have to know and understand is drafting the letter of offer, because any client, you can talk to a client, but what is actually they able to draft the letter of offer, because you need a letter of offer before you have the sales agreement. So all these aspects are so critical, and the kind of education because when you're having a client, you have to educate, and actually you have to evaluate what is the need of the client. Is this an investor? Is this an end user? Is this a diaspora client? When you have or you evaluate and you assess the client, then now you'll be able to give them the right information that actually they need for them to make the informed decision where to spend money. Are they going to get their returns on their investment? So all these aspects are so critical. So sales executive, they play a critical role, but as a company, we also have a role to play. At the end of it all, meet me halfway up. So that's exactly what we do as management to ensure like we move the organization to the next level.
Alando, now that you mentioned about the buyer, I think it's also quite essential that for any person that is selling, especially within the real estate, that they understand who they're selling to or who is buying. You know, once you understand who, then you're able now to explore on what they need, what their needs are, what information are they looking for, what is it that they're looking to get as fulfillment. So let's talk about a bit more about that. What may be the biggest problem when it comes to dealing with for salespeople when they're dealing with clients, that they either lose this person to a different salesperson, or they're just the person is not in the process right from the start all the way to when they close the deal.
It's pretty much interesting to understand our buyers because those are the people who brings revenue to the company. So the most important thing here is for one to evaluate the buyer, just like I say, what does the buyer want? There are those buyers who need lifestyle. What do I talk lifestyle? What do I talk about lifestyle here? You'll find out we have migration from other countries to Kenya. These are people who are looking for retirement. They want to retire in Kenya because they don't want the fast-paced life.
Yeah.
Nairobi offers the kind of a life, African culture life, and it also offers the Western kind of life.
So it's a mix.
It's a blend of the two.
Yeah.
So when you have that blend, these are the individual who needs a prime location that has security, that is so secure. Another aspect that it has is hospital. Lucky enough, Nairobi has one of the best hospitals, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. So they pretty much need that. They need the social amenities that actually they need. So when you talk about the social amenities here, we are talking about shopping mall. We are talking about recreational facilities. Is it close to golfing? Is it close to racing?
Yes.
That's actually another thing. We also have the internal factor that actually you've mentioned. One of the internal factors you've mentioned here is one sales agent taking another sales agent client, or sales executive client. We actually have to deal with this in most cases, but that one is more of an in-house. And in most cases, as an organization, we have to adjust our policies to curb the internal conflict that actually come. Because even in a household, there is a conflict. The husband wants to watch soccer until 1 p.m. The wife wants the husband to sleep by 10 p.m. So these conflicts are there. But the conflicts are not bad. The reason why I like conflict is they make the organization to be progressive when it's come to the policies, when it's come to selling, and also to learn about how to deal with the different dynamics when it's come to the real estate market.
Yeah, and I know you once took us through a training where we were speaking about cold, warm, and hot leads, because I think for the salespeople, they deal with this a lot. A buyer approaches you, you consider them, oh, this is definitely hot, and then a few days later, no response, no nothing, it's back to cold. And I think it's for a salesperson, it's also quite important that they've got the right frame of mind and the right mindset that even if this turns cold, I still need to go on. So how do they deal with that when leads just don't go their way, when nothing is going their way?
So one thing we have to understand is we are emotional human beings. What I mean emotional human being, when I pass across, when I get information, I get so excited and I want to learn more. But also we have the reality. So when you talk about when a sales executive gets a lead, it's their responsibility to maintain communication. Statistically, it actually says you must talk to a client for seventh or eighth times for
Really?
them now to actually decide whether they want to buy.
Wow.
Because remember, these are individuals who want to spend like 7 million, 50 million, or 100 million. Some even spend like 200 million, at a go. So for them to make that decision, they also need second opinion. So when you talk about the cold lead,
Yeah.
this is an individual you started talking to, but maybe at some point they will tell you like, oh, now I'm still going to consult my wife. I still need to get more information regarding to this. Then after a second or third, they no longer want to talk to you, or they are not decided, or they've not even said anything regarding to commitment. Warm is kind of like, okay, they are talking about, they are giving you timeline. Within this short period of time, I'll be able to get back to you. I'll let you know when I'm going to get the letter of offer and all that. So that one, you're like, okay, this one, when you hear the letter of offer, not like, okay, this is what I'm actually going to get something out of it, or they're going to be an engagement, or they'll tell you, I'm engaging my lawyer before I make a decision. That's actually warm. And then we have hot. This one actually someone who has made their decision, and
Yeah.
actually they've told you like, hey, send me a letter of offer. I give it to my lawyer to review, and then I'll get back to you. So all these stages is pretty much important for the sales executives to know. Most of the time you find the sales executive, they'll come to us where there's the lead link, or because also we want to know what makes our client to be cold. And that's why now we have a department that is actually following up and give us statistics as
Wow.
a management, so
Yeah.
that we're able to move forward. We started this department called customer care and quality assurance. So the department is pretty much able to go along and assess from the word go,
Yeah,
when you are
yeah,
interacting with the
yeah.
client, until the client bought something, after buying, after sales services also. So it's actually a whole pipeline. So when we have these statistics, it helps us to, one, understand what the client wants, what the client do not want, where are we dropping the ball? Are we dropping the ball at which stage of
Yes.
selling a unit? So those actually aspects are very important. But one thing also you have to understand here, real estate is statistically driven. If you do not have statistics, then
Data speaks.
data speaks a lot,
Yes.
because when you have data speaks, what does that mean? It actually means you are going to craft policies. You are actually going to be informed on how to come up with a new department, so that you are able to tighten the loose knots. So it becomes pretty much easier for the organization to progress.
Earlier on, you talked about digital marketing and how critical the digital platforms are. I mean, if you look around companies, whether in the real estate or even outside, they have leveraged on the digital platform either for brand awareness as well as for generating leads and for generating sales. And so, how have companies and real estate sales executives been able to sort of redirect and re-strategize on how do we deal with these people that are online who can know about our products and are interested in our products?
Yeah, I think if there's something we can't run away from as a country is technology. And technology is very significant, it's very much important, and its adoption and yeah, I think if there's something we can't run away from as a country is technology. And technology is very significant, it's very much important, and its adoption and consumption in the Kenyan market very essential. Why is it very essential? Because we have dynamics of clients that actually we deal with. We deal with foreign investors. We deal with diaspora clients. Yeah, so these are totally different clients. They trust you with their money. You also you also have to trust them with the information that actually you are giving them. So it is one of the newest department that we started this year, the digital department. So when we talk of digital department here, how we can do marketing or communicate to our clients through social media. When we talk of TikTok, we talk of Instagram, all the kind of social media that we have. We do marketing. We also do the project update, the progress of our projects. So we adopt that. Then thirdly, another way that how we use technology is live streaming. Because when you talk of live streaming, we interact in real time with our client. And this way, they are able to ask us questions in real time. So some of our live streamers in the organization, they will actually go to the show house. They'll be able to answer questions from there because someone wants to know how does the show house looks like. Why is it important? It's important because for sure, you might be shooting a video and editing and sharing out there. These people do not believe you, or maybe you might think you are convincing them, or the project is not running the way you promised. But the moment you are doing live streaming from the construction site, you are doing live streaming from the construction site and you are interviewing the engineer and they are telling you the progress and all this. So it's very much important. And we've had some of sales executives who have closed sales using, who have gotten the leads through digital marketing. So digital marketing will keep expanding because this is a totally new industry that actually is coming up, who is actually being adopted by Kenya. One thing we have to accept and appreciate that makes digital really to penetrate and any company cannot overlook it is because the accessibility and the affordability of internet in Kenya and the speed that actually works. And you even find some of the government services you have to access. So someone might just buy a data as little as 20 or 30 shillings. After applying for that government service, he will actually want to entertain himself going to this social media. In the process of the entertainment, he will actually come across the kind of the digital platform of Wonder Properties, which is significant. So after that, he might not be in a position to buy, but they might be in a coffee shop, they might be in a conference and say, oh, I watched something about Wonder Properties. They have this great project that are actually coming up. So that way, the word goes around and the interest buyer will actually contact the information. So you find even in our website, you go to our website, Wonder Properties, you click on any social media, it will actually direct you to the video, the update of the projects that we have, the engineers, and it is working perfectly well for us, and we'll keep investing in it. I know it has some challenges, but what we do, we are keenly monitoring the digital platform of Wonder Properties. If there are any adjustment that we need to make, we have. And another thing I would like to say, Real Estate Playbook. This is a child of digital world that actually we are helping to reach out, educate, inform, our client, in the general public, because some of this information you might not get them anywhere, but when you join the podcast, like the one we're having, Playbook, you can actually get more informed and make decision to advise your friend, colleagues, and also your company where you work. You never know where you'll need this information. Yeah.
All right. Now, for the sales, executives, the lead came in, they did their follow-ups, they sealed the deal, sold the unit or sold units to the buyer. Does the job of a salesperson end there?
Yeah, that's interesting. What I will say, we have what is called CRM, client relation management. And to me, I feel client relation management doesn't end. Even to me, an engineer, I interact with engineer a lot when I go to the work site, it doesn't end like an engineer has actually done his work. The building stands and that's it. He signs out and actually goes. Because we might have some teething problems and we'll still need to call in our engineers to see what happened. Or maybe a client didn't like something when it was actually handed over time. He might have actually think like, oh, this is working and it's not working. So you might still have to call the engineer. Our policy within the organization is the moment a handover has been done and the checklist has been done and everything, it doesn't end there, because the first interaction that you had with the client, and you need to build this relation. Remember what I said, winning one client is easy, but the moment you maintain this client, you can get more referrals, So not only does it end there, but actually you still need this client for a longer period of time, whereby they moved into the house, all the payment has been done, the conveyancing and sectional title, everything has been handed over. Once in a while, you still need to check on this client because, for one, they might have some problem they are facing in the house because this is a new house. They might have some challenges that they might need to be fixed and all that. So that way, the sale doesn't end the moment a lawyer has signed it, conversing is done. It goes beyond that because within these 6 months, our organizational policy, if there are anything that a client didn't like or something that is not working out in the house, we'll be still in a position to fix it for free.
Close this conversation up. What are some of the key takeaways you believe that from this conversation we've had, any salesperson can be able to take that and say, okay, now I'm good to go. I can get into business.
I think one takeaway everyone has to know and understand is, number one, keep learning. Build your capacity each and every day because we live in a dynamic world. A lot of things keep changing. Government policies keep changing. Because I've sold for 10 years, 5 years, or whichever time, now you know and understand everything. It doesn't work like that. Keep learning, keep reading, understand your client very well, and just in case you have any question, top management will always be there to support you. Come up with different incentives, come up with different programs, start different departments just as to support the sale because that is the core business that actually we are doing here, just to sell. Even though as a manager, as whichever is executive director, the most important thing is actually going there to sell. And also keep learning the new policies that are actually coming up and the changes that actually they bring to the whole industry or the whole market.
Yeah. Thank you. That's wonderful because I believe that it's also, the role of other, staff to be able to support these people that we're here to talk about today. So thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Anthony Orlando, who's a top manager right here at Wonder Properties Kenya. So we close this conversation here, but we'd also love to hear from you. As an experienced salesperson, or you're just starting off in the industry, what are some of the lessons you've learned along the way, improvements that you've made? Please, on the comment section down below, we'd love to hear from you so that we engage and just know really what are some of the things that you've gone through as a salesperson within the real estate world, and what do you think is the future as well for this particular industry? So asante sana, we really appreciate it. Remember, if you've not subscribed, please do so, and as well keep the notification bell on so that when we upload a new episode, you are the first person to know. Asante sana, this was episode 4. See you soon. Thank you so much.
Welcome
Asante
so much.
sana.